Do you know there was a war that claimed millions of lives, reshaped a continent, and still technically hasn't ended? Yet barely anyone talks about it? This is the story of the Korean War, the forgotten war that changed the world. Let's rewind to 1945. World War II had just ended. Japan, who had occupied Korea for 35 years, surrendered. But with Japan gone, Korea suddenly became a pawn in a new global game, the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union agreed, on paper, to temporarily divide Korea along the 38th parallel. The North occupied by the Soviets, the South by the Americans. What was meant to be temporary soon turned permanent. In 1948, two separate governments were declared: the Democratic People's Republic of Korea in the north, backed by the Soviets and led by Kim Il-sung, the Republic of Korea in the south, backed by the US and led by Syngman Rhee. Two Koreas, two ideologies, one peninsula. On June 25, 1950, North Korean troops stormed across the 38th parallel, launching a surprise invasion of the South. They were well-equipped, Soviet-trained, and fast. In just 3 days they captured the South Korean capital, Seoul. The world watched in shock. The United Nations, led largely by the US, responded quickly. President Harry Truman sent American troops, and soon 16 countries were involved under the UN banner. But the North kept advancing. By August, only a tiny corner of South Korea remained, the Pusan perimeter. The South was on the verge of collapse. Enter General Douglas MacArthur. With boldness and a bit of luck, he launched a daring amphibious landing at Incheon in September 1950. It was one of the most successful military operations in history. UN forces recaptured Seoul. The North Koreans were pushed back beyond the 38th parallel, and the UN didn't stop there. MacArthur wanted to unify Korea under the South. Troops advanced all the way to the Yalu River, the border with China. But then came a twist. In October, hundreds of thousands of Chinese soldiers poured across the border, joining the war on the North Korean side. It was a massive counterattack. UN forces were caught off guard and pushed back. Seoul changed hands 4 times during the war. The fighting was brutal, chaotic, and often frozen, literally. Winter battles in sub-zero temperatures killed thousands. By mid-1951, the front line stabilized around the 38th parallel, right where it all began. What followed was 2 years of trench warfare, air raids, and endless negotiations. It became a war of attrition. Over 2 million civilians died. Millions of soldiers on all sides were killed, wounded, or went missing. Cities were flattened, families were split. Korea was devastated. Peace talks dragged on for more than 2 years over one main issue: prisoners of war. Many didn't want to return to their communist-controlled countries. Finally, on July 27, 1953, an armistice was signed. Not a peace treaty, an armistice, a ceasefire. A new border was drawn near the 38th parallel with a heavily guarded demilitarized zone, DMZ, in between. To this day, North and South Korea are still technically at war. The Korean War ended where it started, but everything had changed. The Korean War is often called the Forgotten War, overshadowed by World War II before it and the Vietnam War after it. But make no mistake, it shaped the Cold War. It turned North Korea into a dictatorship that still exists today. It left behind a divided nation, a tense border, and families torn apart for generations. And even now the echoes of that war are still felt, every time the world holds its breath over tensions between North and South Korea. So the next time you hear about a missile test or a defection across the DMZ, remember, this isn't just news. It's a reminder of a war the world tried to forget, but never truly ended. Don't forget to like, follow, and share for more hidden history. This is the past that still shapes our future.